Okay, Mr. Toto.
Okay, welcome everyone to our June 2nd budget hearing meeting. I need a motion to go into public session, please.
Hoffman, move it.
The leader second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to ask everyone to please stand for our Pledge of Allegiance. Allegiance.
Flag
Of the United States of America.
of America. And to the republic,
For which it
which it
stands,
stands.
One nation.
one nation, under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with
with liberty
and justice.
Justice for all.
for all.
Thank you, everyone. Please be seated. Board approval is requested of the minutes of the Board of Education meeting of May 5th, 2020.
Hoffman, move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Steve, I think we need to do roll
Yeah.
call.
Yeah, Kathy, I'm sorry, I jumped in front of you.
That's okay, Steve. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay, I'd like to do a roll call, please. Mr. Toto,
here.
Ms. Hoffman,
Here.
Mr. Curcio,
Here.
Mr. Leader,
Here.
Dr. Bloom,
Here.
Mr. Bowles,
Here.
thank you, Ms. Hennessy. Here. And Ms. Gallagher. Here. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Meoni. Board approval is requested of the minutes of the pre-budget hearing that was held on May 14th, 2020.
Hoffman, move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Thank you. Before I hand it over to Dr. Bloom for his superintendent's report, I just want to take a minute to thank Dr. Bloom, Ms. Hennessy, Ms. Gallagher, the administrative team, the CBAC committee for working so hard over the last few months in what is a very challenging time to put together what the board feels is a solid budget. I do want to take a moment just to say social media is an amazing tool. It's a great way to share information, to obtain information. There's been a lot of misinformation that's been put out there on some of our community pages. And I do want to thank the fellow board members and CBAC members who have really been answering questions, correcting some of the misinformation that's out there. So I would like to encourage anyone that's listening today to share the link of tonight's budget hearing that will be available shortly after tonight's meeting, if not by tomorrow morning, with anyone who couldn't make it. And also, I encourage everyone to share some of the posts that have been put up on the Franklin Square Union Free School District Facebook pages. It really outlines great information about the budget. And I know that between Dr. Bloom and Mrs. Hennessy, they're going to answer all the questions that the community members have, and that the questions that the community members were able to share. So thank you for tonight. And now Dr. Bloom with our superintendent report.
Good evening. Before I turn the floor over to Ms. Hennessy, I wanted to provide a little history on the budget vote process this year. So our district, along with every other district in New York State, was required by the governor's executive order to move to an absentee ballot only vote. This was not a choice. We were given little time to prepare, and it is costing districts more than triple what a traditional vote would cost, because we in Franklin Square are sending ballots to over 18,000 registered voters, rather than just those voters who are registered to vote with the school district. The voter information comes from the Board of Elections and not the district. So, for example, if a resident receives a ballot for a family member who has passed, they should return that ballot to us, return to sender, mark deceased. We alert the Board of Elections, but we don't have the ability to know, because again, it's not based on our records, it's based on information that's coming directly from the Board of Elections. And we must send to all registered voters that are provided to us. It's also important that residents send in only one ballot, vote as per the instructions, seal the ballot envelope, sign it, and place it in the return envelope. Please know that election officials do not canvass the ballots while opening the envelopes. In fact, the ballots are removed while folded and placed in a ballot box. They are canvassed and the results recorded only after the election worker has removed all the ballots from the ballot envelopes. If residents are interested in viewing the canvassing process, a live stream will be available via a link on our website starting at 5 p.m. on the day of the budget vote, June 9th. And they'll be able to see the entire room as the vote is canvassed. So as a reminder, all ballots must be mailed and received by 5 p.m. on June 9th. And with that, I am going to turn the floor over to Assistant Superintendent, Ms. Hennessy.
Thank you, Dr. Bloom. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for listening in to our budget presentation. Tonight, I will be presenting on the 2020-21 budget proposal. The 2020-21 budget proposal maintains all of our current programs for our children while remaining within our allowable tax cap. We are proud to present a budget that once again maintains our excellent academic programs for our children while remaining fiscally responsible for our taxpayers. This year, Franklin Square's per pupil expenditure amount was once again ranked among the lowest in Nassau County. The budget proposal is in the amount of $40,163,500. This represents a 1.72% budget to budget increase over the prior year. The corresponding tax levy increase is 2.33%. This is within our allowable levy limit. Therefore, we are not piercing the cap. As I stated earlier, the budget proposal maintains all of our current academic programs, as well as our expanded transportation offering, upgrades and maintenance to our facilities and security infrastructure, and a focus on minimizing taxes and on fiscal responsibility through appropriately funding each budget code and practicing multi-year financial planning. This year, we faced a unique set of challenges, the first of which related to our tax levy. Tax payments from the county have been delayed, causing significant financial stress for the district. At this time, we do not have any information from the county about the extent of delays or the impact of future delays on next year's budget. Secondly, state aid. Increases that were originally pledged to state aid for the 2020-21 school year have been revoked. Governor Cuomo has also cautioned another cut is likely coming in the next days to weeks of approximately 20% of our state aid, which represents between $1.5 and $2 million for our district. And lastly, the governor has warned that additional state aid cuts may happen at any time next year for undetermined amounts. The expenditure budget can be broken down into three components, the first of which is the administrative component in the amount of $4,325,885. The administrative component is comprised of central administration, supervision or building level, special items such as the fee that we pay to participate in BOCES. Nassau BOCES is a cooperative of school districts in Nassau County. By joining and paying the fee, we are able to pool our resources with our colleagues in the county to receive preferential pricing on goods and services. And lastly, the associated benefits with these items. The program component is in the amount of $31,747,232. It's comprised of our regular instruction program, as well as all of our programs for students with disabilities, our transportation program, and our community service, which is comprised of our ACE after-school program and summer recreation program. And then again, the associated benefits. And lastly, the capital component at just over $4 million. It's comprised of our operations, which is our facilities, our security, our infrastructure. The purchase of a bus, we do purchase one bus each year in order to retire the oldest bus in our fleet. Debt service, which represents payments on bonds. The district is almost finished with a 20-year bond. And lastly, transfers to the special aid fund to support our special education programs and to the capital fund to support capital projects. The administrative component of the budget represents 10.77%, while the program component represents 79.04%, and the capital component represents 10.18%. Every expenditure budget has to have a matching set of revenues. The first source of revenue is state aid. As we stated earlier, our state aid has been cut, so we're projecting a level that is equal to the prior year. Additionally, we are looking forward to an additional 20% cut and then further cuts next year. Local revenues are another source of revenues. They're comprised of revenues that the district is able to make on their own, such as interest on our bank accounts, fees that we charge when we transport students for other districts, fees for the summer recreation and ACE program, which support the expenditures for that program, and a pilot payment. The school district does have one significant pilot on its books, which is an agreement between Nassau County and LIPA, whereby LIPA does not pay traditional property taxes, and instead they pay the school district this payment in lieu of taxes. It did also include the Franklin Square Library bond on this slide, even though the amount is zero, to show the taxpayers that as the taxing agent for the library, the school district has traditionally made the payments on the library's bond and then been reimbursed. The library bond has been called, therefore there are no more payments. The school district has removed the expenditure and has also removed the corresponding revenue. The tax levy represents the amount of money needed to support your expenditure budget when you subtract out all non-tax levy sources of revenue. These are the revenue sources that we just spoke of: state aid and local revenue. Additionally, appropriated fund balance represents fund balance the district pledges to support the budget in order to lessen the burden on taxpayers. The tax levy for next year will be $29,003,151. This amounts to a tax levy increase of 2.33%, which again is within our allowable levy limit, so we are not piercing the cap. The impact on the average home is $100 for the year, or approximately 27 cents per day. 27 cents per day on the average home allows us to continue to provide our children with all of our current excellent academic programs. Due to the unprecedented situation we face this year, the district and all districts in New York State are unclear if we will be allowed to host a second budget vote in the event that the first budget is rejected. Traditionally, a district is allowed 2 votes before being mandated to what's called a contingency budget. A contingency budget dictates that the tax levy amount cannot be increased from the prior year. Therefore, the tax levy increase would have to be 0. In an environment where mandated costs are rising, with a tax levy restricted to 0%, cuts would have to be made to the budget. For the Franklin Square School District, we would have to cut in excess of $660,000. If the school district were to have to adopt a contingency budget, at that time, the Board of Education and the administrative team would work together to determine what programs needed to be cut. And lastly, I'd like to highlight additional propositions that you'll once again see on this year's ballot. We will have 2 additional propositions related to capital reserves. After the vote, should the propositions be approved, the district will again evaluate our financial situation before moving forward with either. The first proposition relates to the 2016 capital reserve. In 2016, the voters of Franklin Square approved the creation of a capital reserve and a specific set of projects within the reserve, as well as a dollar amount. Projects included for Phase 5, which would be the next phase of the 2016 reserve, include air conditioning the Washington Street School gym, transforming our library spaces into library maker spaces, which will be supplemented by a very generous grant from Senator Anna Kaplan in the amount of $50,000. And lastly, renovating the John Street School outdoor area to address safety concerns. We have quite a few safety issues at the John Street School outdoor area, including a sinkhole in the middle of the ball field, inadequate parking for our buses in the bus lot, which results in them being parked and moved around the main parking lot, And lastly, that our children have to cross that parking lot to get to their playground. We'd like to move the playground to a safer location closer to the building. The estimated cost for all of these projects is $3.5 million. And this will not increase taxes. As I said earlier, the reserve was already approved in 2016 and the funds were moved into the reserve. The list of projects was also approved. However, state law says that each time we want to perform one of the projects from that list, we have to come to the voters for a secondary approval. The second proposition relates to the creation of a new capital reserve. The first capital reserve in 2016 addressed a specific set of projects that were identified in what's called a building condition survey. Each school district in New York State is mandated to have a building condition survey performed by a licensed architect every 5 years. We've recently had our new survey come due, and the architect identified a number of issues that need to be remediated that were not on the 2016 report. They include roof replacements, lighting replacements, repair and replacement of flooring, and upgrades to our boiler system, among other issues. We are asking the community for the permission to create a reserve in the event that we are able to save funds over the next 5 years to accomplish these projects. As a result, there will be no increase to taxes for this proposition either. We ask that everyone please vote. As Dr. Bloom stated earlier, it will be voting by absentee ballot only as per Governor Cuomo's order. Ballots have already been mailed as well as voter information. If you have any questions, please see the voter information or budget information tab on our website. All absentee ballots must be received by 5:00 p.m. on June 9th. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Hennessy. If you can just leave that slide up, that would be great. Just to reiterate, regarding the propositions, I just want to make sure that everybody understands that Proposition 1 has to do with money that is already in the reserve. And even though it's already been approved by the voters, we cannot use that money unless the voters give us permission to use that money. So again, it's not money that's being put in, it's money that's already in there, but we can't use that money unless we receive voter authorization. And proposition number 2 is creating another reserve, but does not necessarily mean we have to put money into that reserve for the projects, but that reserve is created, the projects are designated, and should money in the future be available to put in for those projects and to cover those items that are being shared with us from our architects that need to get done over the next couple of years, we would then be able to use that reserve for those purposes. And so we had a couple of questions, Ms. Hennessy, that came via the Google Doc. So I'm going to read them aloud and we can kind of take some of these together. But the first question that was submitted was, will taxes decrease if the budget fails? If you don't mind taking that, I would appreciate it.
Sure. Taxes will not decrease as a result of a failed budget. As I spoke of earlier, a failed budget results in what's called a contingent budget. By law, a contingent budget says that taxes may not increase. So the tax levy increase would be 0%, which means the tax levy amount would be the same as this year. Therefore, there would not be a decrease to taxes. There just would not be an increase. So basically the 27 cents per day in order to offer all of our programs that we spoke about would go away, but there would not be a decrease to taxes.
Thank you. The next question that came in is, what will be the first program cut if our budget is cut? And I'll take that, which is really, we don't know at this point. We're going to have to evaluate that with the administration, with the board, and address those issues when the time comes. So right now, all we can say is, certainly there are programs that we know we would have to look at, but we're not addressing any one program or making any of those decisions at this point. The next question was, what are you doing with the savings that resulted from this pandemic? So Ms. Hennessy, if you can take that.
Sure. Unfortunately for our district, we have not seen a significant savings as some others may have. Being that we're an elementary school district, our makeup is just a little bit different. We do not have athletic programs, nor are we utilizing contract transportation companies, which are some of the ways that our fellow districts have achieved quite a bit of savings. We do see minimal savings on things like utilities. However, the largest bulk of our, however, the largest bulk of our expenditures, which will be our salaries, is still being paid per the executive order from Governor Cuomo. So we are not seeing a very generous savings as a result of the pandemic. However, the savings that we are seeing, we're utilizing to help us navigate this difficult time. It's being used to purchase things like PPE, personal protective equipment to keep our staff safe, cleaning and sanitizing chemicals to, again, keep our buildings safe, keep our staff safe, get us ready for when children do return, and also the programs that we need right now to accomplish distance learning. We're also keeping an eye on the very unsure landscape of next year as far as state aid could be cut in a devastating way, and tax payments could be delayed, causing significant cash flow issues. So we're using the savings to summarize to help us navigate this difficult time and purchase things we wouldn't have normally had to purchase, or nor would we have budgeted for, but also to help us start to get ready for the very difficult financial year we're facing next year.
I think you sort of answered the last question, which is how will this particular budget support the new social distancing requirements? And I think, again, you addressed the idea that those savings, even though it's a little bit, will help us as we address those challenges that are going to be before us. We don't know what the parameters are going to be and what we're going to have to live by when the governor provides those guidelines to school districts. But we do know that it will come with a cost. And so we're going to have to make purchases for sure, PPE, as Ms. Hennessy said, sanitizer, sanitizing equipment, et cetera. These are all things that we did not plan for, but as a result of some of the smaller savings that we've been able to see over the last couple of months, we will be able to make those purchases happen. So thank you. Please know, if you did not submit a question, Ms. Hennessy and I, we are always available to answer any additional questions that you may have. So please don't hesitate to reach out to us, to our teams at any time. We appreciate it. A lot of time and I'm sorry, Ms. Hennessy.
I'm sorry to interrupt. If you don't mind, I do have one more budget fact sheet I'd like to present with the community.
Absolutely.
Thank you. So today we created a budget fact sheet to try to help our community. I try to keep the presentations interesting, but I know that sometimes they can be a little bit lengthy and hopefully not too difficult to get through, but we did want to summarize for everyone so that we have it at our fingertips, some of the main and most important facts about our budget. So the 2020-21 budget maintains all of our current programs for children. The district has never pierced the tax cap since the inception of the tax cap in 2012, and we are not piercing the cap in this budget proposal. The tax increase on the average home is approximately $100 per year, or 27 cents per day. And once again, we were ranked among the lowest per pupil expenditure amounts in Nassau County. As we said earlier, a failed budget results in what's called a contingent budget, which will necessitate that we cut in excess of $650,000, but it will not necessarily mean that your taxes will decrease due to the contingent budget. The capital reserve propositions on the ballot will not result in any increase to the taxes. And lastly, I just wanted to touch a little bit on something related to fund balance and reserves. The district has maintained what's called an unassigned fund balance, or that rainy day fund, as most people know of it, within the legal limit of 4% since 2016. Prior to 2016, there was a larger unassigned fund balance that had been accumulated over many years. The tricky part of an unassigned fund balance is it's very difficult to get rid of in a way that does not spike the tax levy for your residents. So with a great deal of multi-year financial planning, we had come up with a plan to utilize those funds to create that 2016 capital reserve. Therefore, we took that balance that was accumulated over many years, decades even, due to unforeseen circumstances, which are things that might have been budgeted for and then changed at some point in time, For example, a tuition might have been budgeted for a special education student and then a placement was changed. We may have had a teacher retire and their replacement came in at a lower salary. Things of this nature that couldn't possibly have been known the May prior to the budget year. The money that is saved due to issues like that was then accumulated and put into this capital reserve, which allowed us to address the items on the building condition survey in 2016, get our buildings as safe and as up to date as possible without raising taxes a single dollar for our community. And lastly, I would just like to point out that budget information, audit reports, and details about our reserves can be located on our website under the tab for the Office of Finance and Management. Thank you, Dr. Bloom.
Thank you, Ms. Hennessy. Just would like to remind everybody that when you do get your ballot, you're going to see a number of propositions. So you'll see that we have Proposition 1 for the Franklin Square budget, Proposition number 2 for the Sewanaka Central High School District, Proposition number 3, Proposition number 1, I apologize, is regarding the current reserve that we have that we're authorizing use of that money for projects. And then Proposition number 2, last, is for the new reserve in the event that we have the money to put in there for future projects. And then we also have a trustee election. So we have one person, Mr. Bill Leader, who will be running unopposed. And then we have 2 individuals running for the remaining time of Mr. Joe Lewinger's trustee seat. And that is Diane Hansen and Anthony Vallone. And so a lot of time and effort has been put into this tax cap compliant budget. There are a lot of unknowns as we move into the 2021 school year. Is the governor going to cut state aid by 20%? We don't know. Will we receive the tax revenue that we're anticipating from the county? We don't know. What measures will we need to take in order to welcome students and staff back into our buildings? We don't know. This budget recognizes the difficult times ahead while not piercing the cap, maintaining our programs, and staying among the lowest per pupil expenditures in Nassau County. We're able to do that because of the work that has been done by our administration, the CBAC, Ms. Hennessy, and the board. Now more than ever, our community depends on our schools, and every vote counts. I hope each of you listening will exercise your right to vote. Thank you to the board. Thank you to the community for your time.
Thank you, Dr. Bloom. Thank you, Ms. Hennessy. Ms. Hennessy, do you have that graphic available?
Yeah, so that graphic.
Can you just pull that up one more time?
To the district website as well as the district's social media accounts, and anyone who would like a copy can email me as. Oh, sure. I'll just share my screen again.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to say that that graphic was one of the posts that Dr. Bloom had put on the social media page earlier today. And I just want to thank many of the community members as well as board members that shared this, because I think that a lot of the questions that were popping up on social media, this particular graphic and information sheet really answers all of them well. And I do want to thank Dr. Bloom for creating the Google form and allowing the opportunity for all of our community members, those with students in our Franklin Square School District, as well as residents that don't have children in our school district, to be able to ask any question they want related to our school budget. So I think that that was very important for people to have that opportunity. So thank you both.
The board approval is requested of the recommendation of the Committee on Special Education in the following cases as listed.
Hoffman, move it.
Leader second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Board approval is requested on the recommendations of the Committee on Preschool Special Education in the cases as listed.
Hoffman, move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous?
Aye.
Board approval is requested of the recommendations of the 504 committee in the cases as listed.
Hoffman, move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's unanimous.
Board approval is requested of the treasurer's cash reconciliation report and cash flow statement for the period ending April 30th, 2020.
Hoffman, move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Board approval is requested of the budget status report for the period ending April 30th, 2020.
Hoffman, move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous.
Board approval is requested of the warrant report for April 2020.
Hoffman, move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Board approval is requested of the appropriation status reports.
Hoffman, move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous.
Board approval is requested of the over 5,000 budget transfer.
Hoffman, move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous.
Board approval is requested of the trial balance report for the month ending April 30th, 2020.
Hoffman, move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous.
Board approval is requested of the health and welfare contracts for the 1920 school year as listed.
Hoffman, move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Board acceptance is requested of the following retirement as listed.
Hoffman, move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It's
And if it's
unanimous.
okay, Mr. Toto, I would like to just congratulate Ms. Balaban on her retirement and thank her for her service to Franklin Square. I know we will, along with all of the other retirees, celebrate at a later date, but I did want to take a moment just to recognize her.
Can we clap?
Yes.
Board approval is requested of the following salary increment request as listed.
Hoffman, move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous.
Board approval is requested of the appointment of staff for the 2020 ISP Extended Year Program per the attached memo and per the governor's executive order. This will be virtual this year.
Hoffman, move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous.
Board approval is requested of the General and Labor Council retainer for the attorney for the district for the 2021 school year, law offices of Thomas M. Bowles.
Hoffman, move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous.
Board approval is requested of the additional election inspectors for the 1920 school year as listed.
Hoffman, move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous.
Board approval is requested of, Mr. Toto, do you want to take this?
I do, yes. I actually, one of the things that in my time on the board that Mrs. Hennessy typically refers to during her budget presentations are the different bargaining units over the years that have taken freezes during difficult financial times. And so tonight, the board is going to be approving an amendment to Dr. Bloom's contract, extending his time with us through 2023. In light of the fiscal concerns that we've been speaking about over the past few weeks, and then again this evening, Dr. Bloom has agreed to take a salary freeze for the 2020-2021 school year. So thank you, Dr. Bloom. Board approval is requested of the amendment to the contract with the superintendent of schools.
Hoffman, move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous.
Thank you to the board, and thank you, Mr. Toto.
Thank you, Dr. Bloom.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby authorizes the superintendent of schools to appoint additional individuals to the list of election inspectors, poll coordinators, and/or chief election inspector chairperson for the June 9th, 2020 school district election and budget vote without further board approval in the event that additional individuals are needed to facilitate the election and budget vote.
Hoffman, move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Mrs. Hoffman, anything on legislation this evening?
Yes, actually, I do have a little report that that I'd like to give. Well, I received the advocacy alert that we received from New York State school boards, and in it, it stated that the Senate and the Assembly returned to Albany for 3 days of marathon committee meetings and legislative sessions. The focus of their meetings was legislative concerns, health and economic issues, a few bills affecting public education and our school districts were acted upon. And 3 of the bills that were acted upon, one really doesn't pertain to us, but the first one was a 180-day session, and it said both houses have passed legislation that would prevent financial penalties for school districts that weren't able to meet the 180-day session requirement due to the closures associated with the response to the COVID-19 pandemic, which is a really good thing. And that was something that we were very worried about from the very beginning. So that one is a really good bill, and I'm glad they were able to pass that one. The next one was on property tax payments, but really that doesn't pertain to us because we don't collect the property taxes here in Nassau County. And the third one was reserve funds. And that one was, the legislator also passed a bill that would allow school districts to transfer funds from otherwise restricted reserves to pay for operation costs and other costs associated with the state devastation emergency declared to the COVID-19 pandemic. So that what kind of freed up a lot of school districts in financially that, these unexpected payments that had to come out, we were able to use our reserves to pay that, such as this absentee ballot situation. I think it's very important that, the legislation did act on that as well. So those are just 3 bills that have to do with education. I'm sure the legislation will be back in session again soon to move on a few more things, but I'm very happy that at least at this time, those things were able to be moved forward and acted on our behalf. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Hoffman. New business, the board is requested to cast its vote on the proposed 2020-2021 NISBA budget in the amount of, Jared, Dr. Bloom, I just exited out of my agenda. If you can.
$541,764.19.
Sorry about that.
Hoffman, move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, it's unanimous.
The board is requested to cast its vote on the slate of officers and members of the executive board as presented by the nominating committee.
Hoffman, move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Steve, can I just make a comment on both of these things that we just voted on?
Yes.
I've always attended the Nassau Suffolk School Boards Association annual dinner, and since it was canceled, these were brought forward to us. And I can tell you, the budget, although it seems extremely high, I noticed on the budget there was no increase to our dues for the upcoming year, which is a really good thing, especially in the times that we're facing. So I appreciated that budget. Plus also the people that were nominated to the positions that we just elected. I know a lot of those people, and they will serve us well as our representatives on Nassau Suffolk School Boards Association.
Thank you, Ms. Hoffman. All right. Finally, I do want to take a moment again to thank Dr. Bloom, Mrs. Hennessy, the CBAC committee that worked on the budget with the team, Ms. Gallagher, the administrative team. I probably shouldn't say that I was just texting with Mr. Curcio, but I was as we were going through the meeting, and we were both just saying, and I know that Ms. Hoffman and Mr. Leader feel the same way, how proud we are to be a part of this Board of Education, this community, and this school district. So thank you guys for loving kids, caring for kids, and at the same time, watching our pockets. So thank you. And I would encourage everyone to vote on the budget, get your ballots in before June 9th at 5 p.m. And with that being said, those of you that are out there in YouTube land that are listening to us tonight, please, if you have any questions or if you know of anyone that has any questions, please reach out to administration. Please share the link so that everyone has the same information. And please share those posts that are on Facebook to make sure that we're giving the most up-to-date and accurate information about the 2021 school budget. And with that, a motion to adjourn this evening's budget hearing.
Hoffman, move it.
Leader second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
Thank you.